shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
And it feels slightly less humid as you step out the door, but I'll show you when we're going to jump right back into tropical and add more storms back into our forecast.
New overnight, protests across the country, more large gatherings and arrests on the West Coast. The message demonstrators here in Raleigh sent with their own rally and march.
And getting ready, the work happening today in a North Carolina town repeatedly devastated by flooding to try to avoid another natural disaster. Been through so much and have so much to look for ahead, still in the rebuilding process. 4:30 here on our Thursday. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Let's get your Thursday started with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, and once again dealing with that heat and humidity today.
We'll take a live look at Goldsboro to start with. Nice and clear. I'm hoping to find a camera where we can see the moon. It was full yesterday, but it was still a little bit cloudy. It's gorgeous. When I walked in, it was so pretty. So looking for that. We're mainly clear right now. There could be a deck of low clouds that forms in some places as we get through the next couple of hours because our dew point is at 67. It's definitely muggy, but it's not quite as muggy as it was this time yesterday. It's warm though, 72 degrees right now. 63 though in Roxborough, 68 Rocky Mount, 67 in Goldsboro, 72 in Southern Pines. So feeling just a little bit more comfortable. Our temperatures are running in some places about 3 or 4 degrees cooler than yesterday. Not a big change, and we're still likely to hit 90 for this afternoon. Today stays dry, but as we head into the weekend, we're going to bump up our chance for showers and storms. I'll show you which days look the wettest.
Brand new video from overnight of anti-ICE protests. This video is out of Seattle. Demonstrators blocked traffic for hours and a dumpster fire broke out right in the middle of that intersection, as you see. This is part of ongoing immigration protests spreading across the country. Hundreds of people have been arrested in Los Angeles, and demonstrators are being detained in places like New York, Texas, and Pennsylvania. A second straight night of curfew is in effect for Los Angeles as demonstrations have continued for nearly a week now. That curfew is set to end at 6 a.m. local time, 9 a.m. our time. In New York City, police say they have detained more than 80 protesters, with more than 30 being charged with assault. Meanwhile, in Texas, demonstrators marched to San Antonio City Hall last night as Governor Greg Abbott sent the Texas National Guard to monitor that situation. Around a dozen states from coast to coast, including our own, have experienced large-scale protests and marches. This was here in Raleigh as hundreds of demonstrators took a stand against what they call an attack on immigrant communities. Police monitored demonstrations, which remained largely peaceful and uninterrupted. More events across the Triangle are planned for Saturday.
Today, we'll get new data about how tariffs are affecting the prices you pay for products. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live in Cary this morning. Kelsey, today's new government report comes after the Consumer Price Index report showed a slight increase in inflation.
Yesterday, this morning, we'll get another glimpse into the state of our economy. Earlier this week, we learned that inflation is creeping up, and that could impact the prices you pay here at the grocery store. Inflation went up about 0.1% from April to May. Now, that's less than what economists expected, but the small increase is likely a result of tariffs. We checked in with economic experts across the Triangle. UNC economic professor Gerald Cohen says prices could go up even more in the future, and that could impact several industries here in North Carolina like biotech, textiles, and agriculture. So a new economic report is set to be released this morning at 8:30. We'll be sure to keep you updated on those results. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Cary.
Happening today, Governor Josh Stein is expected to make an economic announcement in Greensboro. State, local leaders, even the company being quite cagey about this whole announcement. But we are told it is happening at the Piedmont Triad Airport. WRAL is told that Jet Zero is a company that makes futuristic, fuel-efficient jets and could be bringing a factory to North Carolina. That would bring 10,000 jobs to our state. The announcement is at 1 this afternoon. You can count on WRAL to bring you updates on this developing story. Tune in to our evening newscast beginning at 4 p.m.
Duke Health is expanding its medical campus in Cary. This morning, the hospital breaks ground on the next phase of the facility. That includes a new 40-bed hospital. There will also be more operating rooms and equipment used to treat cancer patients. The groundbreaking takes place at 10 this morning. Duke hopes to have the next phase open by 2027.
National Transportation Safety Board will hold 3 days of hearings next month in the deadly mid-air collision of an American Airlines regional jet and Army helicopter. 67 people died in that crash. The agency also announced it expects to complete its investigation by the tragedy's one-year anniversary. The NTSB is reportedly making progress on the cause, but still needs access to some of the Federal Aviation Administration's data. Princeville is the oldest town in America founded by enslaved people, but the town was nearly destroyed by Hurricane Floyd in 1999 and again by Hurricane Matthew in 2016. Tonight, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will hold a public meeting to discuss the progress on the Princeville Flood Risk Management Project. The meeting takes place at Princeville Town Hall on South Main Street. The discussion begins at 6 p.m.
The Trump administration cannot deport or detain the Columbia University activist Mahmoud Khalil. That's a ruling from the federal judge presiding over the case. The government has until tomorrow morning to file an appeal. Secretary of State Marco Rubio cited an obscure provision of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 to justify Khalil's removal from the U.S. The judge determined Khalil could not be removed or detained based on Rubio's determination.
Changes to the state's concealed weapons law are on the way to the governor's desk now. Lawmakers passed a bill repealing the need for a concealed carry permit for anyone 18 and older. Supporters say that bill doesn't change who can buy a gun. It simply does away with the need for government permission to carry it concealed. Critics, including some Republicans who did not vote for the bill, say the changes would endanger public safety. 29 states already allow some form of permitless carry. Governor Stein will likely veto this bill.
Today marks 9 years since 49 people were gunned down at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Survivors and family members of the victims were allowed to walk through the long-shuttered LGBTQ+ friendly venue for the first time. Very few people, other than investigators, have been inside the structure until last night. No photos or video recordings were allowed during that emotional visit.
It's very heartbreaking to know that my son took his last breath right there within that small space, that so many kids died that night.
The city of Orlando purchased the property in 2023. It plans to build a $12 million permanent memorial, which will open in 2027.
Starting July 1st, your Raleigh water bill will be going up. Charges for water and wastewater will go up 4%. That's an average monthly increase of about $2. The increase was approved in the 2026 fiscal year budget.
Crash investigation. Federal investigators give an update on the probe into January's air disaster at Reagan Airport, what it still needs to learn before it gives a final report.
Phasing out FEMA. President Trump wants to turn responsibility for response over to the states. How local leaders are reacting to the plan.
It's a warm start to your Thursday as we give you this live look at Sanford. And there is hot weather ahead. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner back after the break with the timeline when temperatures will be climbing into the 90s.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:42. Taking a look at downtown Durham right now. Skies are mainly clear. It feels slightly less muggy than it did this time yesterday. We are still going to end the day with a couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms starting right around the evening commute and then lasting maybe through dinner time or so. It's only a 20 to 30% chance. So it's another day where not everybody will see the storms. Town by town, heading out, we're looking at 60s and 70s, 67 in Holly Springs. It's 63 in Roxborough, but 70 in Garner and 71 in Goldsboro. So it's still a summer pattern. So one of the last days of school for kids in Wake County. I think a lot of the school systems are out already, but your kids getting off the bus this afternoon, it's still going to be hot temperatures in the low 90s. Heat index becomes an issue for us, of course, as we get into the weekend. I'll take a look coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. ShotSpotter alerted police to a shooting in Rocky Mount before the call came to 911. Sky 5 flew over the scene on James Street, and when officers arrived, they found a man with a gunshot wound. A second man, also who was shot, arrived at UNC Nash Hospital shortly after that. Neither man's injuries were life-threatening. Rocky Mount police are investigating what happened.
Families of the victims of a deadly gangway bridge collapse are suing the construction company that built it. The 80-foot dock collapsed on Georgia's Sapelo Island last October, and 20 people fell into the water. 7 died. Hundreds gathered for a celebration when the dock collapsed in the middle while passengers were being loaded onto a ferry. Civil rights and personal injury attorney Ben Crump is representing 4 of those families.
The future of FEMA is up in the air. President Donald Trump says he wants the agency phased out after this hurricane season. He wants states to handle their own emergency management with less money coming from the federal government at his discretion. WRAL's Eric Miller spoke with a few local leaders to get their thoughts on the president's idea.
Just last week, Governor Josh Stein said that any cuts to FEMA would be a, quote, man-made disaster. What President Trump is talking about doing, though, that would go a lot further with potentially big impacts on state agencies. The comments came Tuesday. President Trump in the White House saying he wants to phase out FEMA after this hurricane season.
We want to wean off of FEMA and we want to bring it down to the state level. A little bit like education, we're moving it back to the states.
Trump saying governors specifically should have more authority and responsibility when it comes to disaster response. The president adding that the aftermath of Hurricane Helene is part of the reason why.
You saw what happened in North Carolina under the past administration. And when we got in, we did a great job for North Carolina, brought it back, but it was a disaster, FEMA. And it has not worked out well.
The agency does still have a major footprint in North Carolina. A May release from FEMA pointed out it still has 785 staff in the state and is still covering 90% of the cost of debris removal. It's not clear what would happen to that money and those workers if the agency were phased out. Democrats have been quick to call the move disgraceful. In a statement, Congresswoman Deborah Ross wrote, his proposal to eliminate FEMA will be disastrous for the communities still rebuilding and the communities that will be affected by this hurricane season. Community leaders in western North Carolina, though, have struck a softer tone.
I think it does have some promise, but I don't see us eliminating, something so much taxpayer money goes to respond to these disasters.
Canton Mayor Zeb Smathers has dealt extensively with FEMA as his town was devastated first with Tropical Storm Fred in 2021, then with Helene in 2024. He says the agency should be reformed and get funds to people and communities that need them faster.
But I think the people of this state and these United States will be served best when they have a state like North Carolina that has the resources and dedication like we do. But at the same time, it is met with a federal response that is quicker, provides resources to us, and respects the people it is dealing with on the grounds.
This, of course, isn't the first time that President Trump has talked about doing something like this. If you think back to January of 2025, right after Trump took office, his first visit right here to North Carolina, that Helene disaster zone, Trump at the time said he wanted FEMA either eliminated or to make major reforms. In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
North Carolina native and country music star Chase Rice is helping a family get back on their feet after Helene. When the storm hit in October, the Pogels family lost their home in Yancey County and everything in it. Rice is from nearby Buncombe County, so the family's story hit home for him. He teamed up with the nonprofit We Must Protect to give the family a new place to call home.
I keep repeating, just unreal. Never thought we would be in this kind of situation to begin with, and now, we got knocked down, but now we're going to be ahead.
There's so many different things that came together. I'd say the number one thing coming together was God putting all these people together to make this family finally have a home.
The nonprofit says it'll continue building homes in North Carolina until there are no more left to build or the funding runs out.
It is 4:47, and we continue with this summer-like pattern, heat and humidity and thunderstorms firing up. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is tracking our next weather maker.
So we have this high pressure system that's going to keep us a little bit drier for at least today. And then we're going to start to see another big surge of moisture coming in. It's going to bump up our humidity and bring us a better chance for storms Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's still not a zero chance, though. Today, again, just with the amount of moisture that we do have in the atmosphere and our afternoon heating, we're going to see a few storms pop up. This is Futurecast right here at lunchtime. time. And Futurecast shows a good bit of cloud cover. It's nice and clear out there for the most part right now, but we may see some clouds rolling in. At 5 o'clock, we're fairly dry, but by 7 to 8 o'clock, notice just a few isolated cells pop up. And then by the time we get to midnight, they're mostly over. We take a live look at Goldsboro this morning, and it is mostly clear. I'm hoping to find a pretty view of the moon on one of our cameras coming up shortly. 72 is our temperature. Our dew point is down into the 60s. That always feels a bit more comfortable than the 70s, but today is really the only day over the next 5 or 6 that we'll see our dew points in the 60s. We're right back into the 70s tomorrow. Pretty comfortable at 61 in Roxborough right now, and 65 in South Hill, 60s in Rocky Mount, Goldsboro, and Clinton, but 70s for the Triangle and down into the Sandhills. It's 67 in Holly Springs, 69 in Cary, 70 in Garner and in Knightdale right now. Around town, we're just as hot this afternoon as we were yesterday. We were in the low 90s, and we'll hit low 90s again this afternoon. It is likely that our muggy meter is going to start to climb this afternoon back into the low 70s and then mid 70s for the weekend. And so that means that our heat index really climbs. This afternoon, it'll feel like 95. Friday, with a good chance for storms, it may be that the temperatures drop a little. Saturday, 97, heat index of 100 Sunday, and 98 on Monday. So we really have no break in sight from a lot of heat. We're not likely to get up to a heat advisory criteria, but it's going to be awfully hot and sticky. Keep that in mind if you're heading out to the Capital City Juneteenth celebration Saturday at Dix Park. The other thing you'll need to watch out for is thunderstorms that may develop. This doesn't start until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's not like you can try to go in the morning. Holiday weekend looking warm. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, but a good chance for showers and thunderstorms Saturday and Sunday in particular. For Father's Day, it's an 80% chance, and we'll take a closer look at the timeline coming up.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Important nesting. The endangered sea turtle that is making its home and laying its eggs on the Outer Banks.
Denied health coverage? Don't give up. In the next hour, 5 Under Side breaks down how your doctor can help make your case.
4:53 is the time right now as we bring you back with this live look in Chapel Hill this morning. We're going to hit 90 again today and a chance of storms just a little bit later. Businesses get makeovers. Netflix builds a band, and a Grammy-winning pop star is ready to own the summer. Ashley Dvorkin has today's Hollywood Nation.
Meeting businesses at a crossroads.
Lemonis reboots businesses. Netflix builds the next big band, and Carpenter's pop takeover continues in the Hollywood Nation. Get ready for another summer of Sabrina Carpenter. The pop star's next album, Man's Best Friend, arrives August 29th. It follows the success of 2024's Short and Sweet. Her new single, Manchild, will be featured on the 7th record.
I have a specific kind of group in my head.
Netflix brings a new kind of harmony in today's first looks. The streamer dropped the trailer for Building the Band, a music competition where contestants choose future bandmates based on chemistry and vocal talent sight unseen. Backstreet Boys' AJ McLean hosts with mentor and judge Nicole Scherzinger, joined by Kelly Rowland and late One Direction singer Liam Payne as guest judges. The 3-part reality series filmed before Payne's tragic passing premieres July 9th.
Most are looking for a fixer.
Fox is putting business back in focus in the trailer for The Fixer. The new reality series follows investor and entrepreneur Marcus Lemonis as he travels the country, helping struggling businesses get back on track. He will offer hard truths and real investments in hopes of turning their fortunes around. The show premieres July 18th.
My offer is $500,000.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin.
Sea turtle nesting season is underway on the North Carolina coast. An organization called Network for Endangered Sea Turtles, or NEST, shared this video of a Kemp's Ridley sea turtle laying her nest in Kerala. The Kemp's Ridley is the most endangered sea turtle in the world. NEST says this is the 5th nest on the northern Outer Banks so far this year. The mom laid her eggs and went back into the ocean 20 minutes later.
City of Raleigh has a request. Please park properly at the Gibson Play Plaza. The huge playground just opened up at Dix Park, and it's already very popular. So much so, the city has posted this not so subtle reminder to think before you park. On weekdays, you can only park in public parking locations marked by one of these signs with a large P. do not park in the designated DHHS spots. They still have to work while you are enjoying the park.
Speaking of the new play area, some of the landscaping crew is not what you'd expect. There's a herd of goats tasked with clearing some vegetation. It's part of the Grove project. It will connect the new play plaza to downtown with pathways. Dix Park says the goat landscapers are a cost-effective way to manage vegetation in the park. If you see the goats, look, but don't touch. They are contained in a low-voltage, solar-powered electric fence, and they are wearing GPS monitors so they can be tracked.
And they're working. Growing protests, new developments overnight in the nationwide demonstrations against immigration raids, the arrests being made, and the new law enforcement response.
Speech specifications, the newly revealed requirements the Trump administration gave when assigning prime seats for the president's Fort Bragg visit, including, quote, no fat soldiers.
And an eye on the economy. In just a few hours, we'll get new information about the prices you're paying at stores, what it may reveal about the effect tariffs are having.